Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Football. So the Champions League quarterfinal draw has just taken place. We now have an idea of which team will face which team in the quarterfinal, which teams we should be targeting. So this is just a fast draft of which players you should be looking at between now and the time the quarterfinals are played. Remember, some people still have a wild card, so it could be beneficial to use it right now or in the second leg. And everyone has five transfers to make this week. So you can basically change half of your team if you want, almost half of your team if you're happy with -4s and -8s, especially if most of your players went out. But as always, let's take a look at how the draw went and also some of the rules. So first fixture is going to be Real Madrid against Chelsea. That's very interesting. I think this is like the third time they're facing each other out of the last 4 seasons. Last season, Real Madrid won on their way to the trophy, and 2-3 seasons ago, Chelsea won on their way to their trophy as well. So they've been playing each other a lot recently. Interesting fixture right away. Inter Milan up against Benfica. And again, another interesting fixture. Benfica have been really good this season. Inter Milan, I don't know how Inter Milan have made it to this position. They won actually comfortably against FC Porto in the last round without conceding a goal. So that will be an interesting tie. Man City up against Bayern Munich. That is a juggernaut tie, man. Man City, champions of England, Bayern Munich, champions of Germany. A lot of big players in that fixture. Haaland going to face Bayern Munich once again after his Dortmund days. The likes of Sané are going to face up against Manchester City. Cancelo is going to be at Bayern Munich and not Manchester City, so it's going to be another interesting tie right there. I don't know how many players you should be going for from those two teams in that fixture. And then AC Milan against Napoli. I remember watching them in Serie A, and Napoli beat AC Milan 2-1. I think Zielinski or someone scored a penalty to win that game 2-1. So they will face each other 3 times between now and the end of the season, twice in the Champions League and once in in their league. So as you can see, Real Madrid will be at home first, Inter Milan will be at home first, Man City will be at home first, and AC Milan will be at home first. Now, right away, I don't think there's any totally standout tie like this team has a very easy team. Some people would say that about Real Madrid, but Chelsea have kind of picked it up recently. Inter Milan, Benfica, maybe Benfica is the favorites to win that game. And still Bayern very hard to predict. AC Milan, Napoli, maybe Napoli are favorites, but obviously being used to AC Milan and AC Milan being used to them, you never know how it can go. And also they've already made the semi-final draw as well. Now the winner between Real Madrid and Chelsea will face the winner between Man City and Bayern, and the winner of Inter Milan against Benfica will face the winner of AC Milan against Napoli. So one between Inter Milan, Benfica, AC Milan, Napoli will actually make the Champions League final, which will be very interesting. We have 3 Italian teams there, so good odds for at least one Italian team to be in the final. So one rule that you need to know about Matchday 9 and Matchday 10, you can now have, instead of 4 players from one team in the round of 16, you can now have 5 players from one team. So that is that's quite interesting once again. Now, the only issue is, from those 4 fixtures we've talked about, is there any team you're looking at and you're like, yes, I want 5 players from that team? Real Madrid maybe against Chelsea. I'm not sure about 5 players. Inter Milan, Benfica, maybe in the second leg when they go to Benfica, maybe you can have 4 or 5 Benfica players, but I still think that is too much. Man City, Bayern, I don't think anyone stands out there to have even more than 2 players from one team there. AC Milan, Napoli, maybe Napoli. Napoli would be the ones I'd look at, like, yeah, maybe 5 players from this team. But obviously, they are away at home in the first leg, which is kind of tough. So without wasting any more time, let's get to the draft. Let's build the draft together in terms of the quarterfinal. And let's start with the striker. Let's start with the player that I think everyone needs to have, and that is from Napoli. Let's go to Napoli. Napoli, the first player we'll pick, you definitely know who that is. That is Victor Osimhen. What an incredible player he's been this season for them. And he did not play a lot of games in the group stage because he was injured, but right away up against Frankfurt, you saw his qualities is scary. He scored twice in the last game against Frankfurt. In the first leg, he scored as well. He could have had more points if like if I think he hit the post or something in one of those games. He's very dangerous. He's very dangerous. So Osimhen against AC Milan, I definitely want him in my team. So that is the first pick. Second pick, let's go to defenders, and we're going to stick with the same team but defensively. I think Di Lorenzo has been quite good this season. He's scored a couple of goals. He's gotten a couple of assists, and that is just in the Champions League, which is great. Recovery points he always gets as well. AC Milan don't score a lot of goals. They scored once against Tottenham in both games in the round of 16 tie. And the first goal was pretty early, and for the rest of the 100 and something minutes, they did not get a goal. So Di Lorenzo is my pick. So that is already a Napoli double up. That takes a lot from our budget already, around 13 million or something from our budget. Thirdly, I think we have to go with the Benfica player against Inter Milan. And that is going to be the highest scoring defender so far this season, our second highest scoring defender remaining in the competition. That is Grimaldo. He's been fantastic. Just like Di Lorenzo, he contributes in terms of goals and assists, and Benfica have been keeping clean sheets as well. So that is a great option. Now, up against Inter Milan at San Siro, I think Inter Milan could easily get a goal. But when they go to Portugal, Benfica could easily keep a clean sheet in that one. So those are the first three picks I have so far. And these teams could actually end up facing each other in the semi-final, which will be very interesting. I wanted them to actually face each other in the quarterfinal. I think both teams have been doing so well this season, and that would be a good balance. First midfielder, we are going to stick with the same team once again, Benfica, and we are going to go with Joao Mario. 6.4 million is what it's going to cost you. And so far, what we have in the team is 2 Napoli players and 2 Benfica players. Absolutely. It's starting to look good already. Napoli up against AC Milan, and Benfica up against Inter Milan. So both of them are up against the Milan clubs. You never know. It would be great to see the Milan clubs facing each other in a semi-final. Who would have thought? But I think these 4 players, you've got to have at least a midfielder from Benfica and a defender from Benfica, and you've got to have at least a defender from Napoli, and also a striker or midfielder from Napoli. Next up, let's change fixtures. Let's go to Real Madrid. Real Madrid up against Chelsea. I think they're absolutely trashed. They're absolutely trashed. Liverpool 6 goals on aggregate, and a lot to choose from. I've already seen someone saying they're going to go for 4 players from Real Madrid, which is going to be pretty interesting. I don't think it's going to be as easy as the way they beat Liverpool. I think Chelsea will give them more of a game. But who are you going to go for? Is it going to be Vinicius or Benzema or both? As of now, I have picked Vinicius, 10.1 million. Is always a threat. Just ask Alexander-Arnold. And against, especially if Reece James is not there, he's going to have a very, very interesting game on that side. But if Reece James is there, it's going to be a very good battle between those 2 players. So that is 2 defenders, 2 midfielders, and 1 forward so far. In terms of a goalkeeper, I think we are going to go for an Inter Milan goalkeeper, being at home in the first leg. He played really, really well in I think both games. He kept clean sheets in both games against FC Porto, and his name is Andre Onana. 5 million is what it's going to cost you. And I think there we've covered an Inter Milan defender, we've covered a Napoli defender, and a Benfica defender. Onana, 42 points so far this season, and I think I'm going to go directly to the next defender to complete those fixtures, and I'm going to go with an AC Milan defender. In terms of defenders, let's complete that those fixtures, and we are going to go for where is Theo Hernandez. Theo Hernandez will be the pick. So as you can see, we have picked a defender from both of those fixtures, or all 4 teams from those 2 fixtures: AC Milan against Napoli and Inter Milan against Benfica. So a 0-0 would not be bad in both games. A 0-0 would not be bad. Next up, I think we need to go back to the forward positions, and I think we're going to have to go for the beast himself, Erling Haaland. Despite facing Bayern Munich, I think he's always a good pick. We saw he can score 5 goals from nowhere. He might not score 5 goals against Bayern Munich, but I think he's a very good player to have. Unless you can really make an argument for having 3 strikers that you really want instead of Haaland, then you might go for it, because I don't think he'll score 3 or 4 goals against Bayern Munich. But right away, I'm expecting a high scoring game. It could be 3-2 or something, and that means Haaland will probably score. So Haaland is there as my second pick up front. In terms of midfield, I am going to go with another Napoli player that has been the most consistent player probably in the world this season, and his name is Kvaratskhelia, Kvardona, if you want to call him that, and that makes it 3 players from Napoli. Now, as I said, I won't underestimate AC Milan facing Napoli, because they're used to each other. AC Milan are used to Napoli as well, and I think they competed for a trophy. This is like last season or something. They were up there together. So, and I think AC Milan was second at some point this season. I don't know if they're second right now or Inter Milan are second, but it's going to be again a close fixture, but I would still prefer the Napoli players because of how attacking they are. AC Milan did not concede a goal in the quarterfinal, just like in the round of 16, just like their neighbors, Inter Milan, AC Milan, sorry. So am I confusing the two teams? Or am I confusing the Milan teams? Yes, AC Milan did not concede a goal in the round of 16, just like Inter Milan did not concede a goal against FC Porto. So it doesn't necessarily mean Napoli are going to score a bunch of goals, but the way Napoli play, that is why I've gone for 3 players from there. Next up, let's choose another defender, and I'm actually going to go for a double up in terms of Benfica against Inter Milan. Now, I think in that position, it's up to you if you want to go for an Inter Milan defender like a Bastoni to double up with the goalkeeper, if you feel like they're better at home against Benfica, or you can go for a defender from Benfica instead and go for either Otamendi, or Antonio Silva. I have gone for Antonio Silva for now. That means we have a double up on Benfica. It can easily end in a 0-0 draw. I do expect, I would not be surprised if Benfica scored and Inter Milan scored both of them in that game. But you have to ask yourself which defenders have the best chance to keep a clean sheet. Now, last round, we had it a bit easy. We could easily say AC Milan against Tottenham at home, I'm going to go for 2 AC Milan defenders. Or Napoli against Frankfurt, I'm going to go for 3 Napoli defenders because I'm expecting a definite clean sheet. Right now, I don't think it's the same. I don't think you can expect a definite clean sheet from Bayern Munich or Man City facing each other. I don't think you can expect a definite clean sheet between AC Milan and Napoli. But if you feel really brave and you feel like Napoli are not going to consider a goal against AC Milan, then there you can make an argument about going for 2 or 3 defenders. But for this draft, I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to go for balanced in terms of defenders, get a defender at least from every team. In case of a clean sheet, you're going to benefit instead of tripling up on them, and then if they concede a goal, you're in big trouble. Next up, let's go for another goalkeeper, and I am going to go for Real Madrid. Instead of a Real Madrid defender, I'm going to go for a Real Madrid goalkeeper, and they're going to play against Chelsea, so that is why I'm going to pick the goalkeeper, former Chelsea player, and also I do prefer him to the likes of Rudiger and Carvajal. In terms of defenders from Real Madrid. So Courtois completes the goalkeepers positions for me. Onana and Courtois, the ones I've picked for this draft. Listen, a lot of can change between now and then. We have to follow the form of all these teams that are in the quarterfinal. Are there any injuries that occur and all that? So you can still make like a couple of transfers right now, take out the players that had already been eliminated, like Messi or Mbappe, if you had them in your team. So we have 4 more positions to sort out, 1 more striker, 2 more midfielders, and 1 more defender. And I think we've gone for a Napoli player, we've gone for a Benfica player, we've gone for a Real Madrid player, we've gone for a Man City player. We've not gone for a Bayern Munich player, though. So I think the best Bayern Munich player now, if Sane was the guaranteed starter, we probably have gone for Sane. But there's a problem there, and Coman would be a bit expensive for the budget. So at the moment, I'm playing against Man City. I think they're going to have to do a bit of defensive work as well. I have gone for Kimmich. Kimmich is the player I've picked from their midfield. A lot can change between now and then. It's 6.8 million. He can get you recovery points, and obviously sometimes he's on set pieces, corners, and free kicks. So that is my pick from Bayern Munich. But you can go for the more attacking midfielders like Coman or people like that. But for now, I've gone for Kimmich. And then lastly, let's complete the defense. Now, I am going to go for a Chelsea defender, although I don't expect them to keep a clean sheet, but this defender is not being picked because of clean sheets. And so I am going to go for Reece James at the moment. So as you can see, as a flag next to his name, but I am going to go for Reece James as the pick. But you don't have to go for him. You can go for a double up in terms of Napoli defenders if you feel like they're going to keep a clean sheet against AC Milan, or you can go for another Real Madrid defender like a Carvajal if you feel like they're going to keep a clean sheet against Chelsea. I think that is literally up to you. Midfield, though, once again, there's a lot of options. You can go for Mahrez from Man City. You can go for Zielinski from Napoli. You can double up on Benfica if you prefer. You can double up on, you can go for an AC Milan midfielder like a Tonali if you prefer. But at the moment, I have picked a Real Madrid midfielder. I think being at home against Chelsea in the first leg, I think they could easily score more than 2-3 goals very easily. I think they could get 3 goals actually. So I am going to go for Valverde in midfield to double up with Vinicius. So that makes it 3 players from Real Madrid. And I'm actually going to do what? I'm going to have 4 players from Real Madrid, and I'm going to bring in their forward, Mr. Champions League these days. His name is Benzema. He also has a flag next to his name, but I am going to pick Benzema. You don't have to go for all of them. If you feel like this is too many Napoli players or too many Real Madrid players, you can change it up. But let's do a let's just like go through it fast and then decide on which players are possible to take out. So this is how the team is looking. Defenders have gone for Onana from Inter Milan and Courtois from Real Madrid goalkeepers. In terms of defenders, I've gone for Di Lorenzo, Grimaldo. I've also gone for Theo Hernandez, Antonio Silva, and James. That is Chelsea. 2 from Benfica, 1 from AC Milan, and 1 from Napoli. Midfield, I've gone for Joao Mario, Benfica, Vinicius, Real Madrid, Valverde, also Real Madrid, Kvaratskhelia, Napoli, and Kimmich from Bayern. Osimhen, Napoli, Haaland, Man City, Benzema, Real Madrid. So that is 3 Napoli players. That is Osimhen, Kvaratskhelia, and Di Lorenzo. 4 Madrid players: Benzema, Vinicius, Valverde, and Courtois. I've gone for Napoli goal for an Inter Milan goalkeeper in Onana. I've gone for 3 players from Benfica: Joao Mario, Grimaldo, and Antonio Silva. I've gone for Chelsea pick there with Reece James. I've gone for 1 Bayern Munich pick, Kimmich, 1 Man City pick, Haaland. So some of you would prefer having 2 or 3 players from Bayern Munich. You'd want maybe 2 players from Man City, at least maybe a defender or something if you prefer. But for me, I think this is what you have for now. In case you don't want, let's say you don't want a player from 4 players from Real Madrid, instead you want 4 players from Napoli, you can easily take out Valverde and bring in Zielinski, who did well against AC Milan, and they played them in the league. So that is how the team is looking at the moment. So we still don't know which fixtures are going to be played on which day and how the captains are going to look like, but this is just the first draft. Hopefully you enjoyed. Let me know which ones you disagree with, which ones you agree with. As of now, thank you for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys on the next one.